Hey, it's Medium Jenny Lee, and I'm here with the next woo-woo book discussion of The Raw Contact Volume 1. We're on session 13, which makes this video number 14. Let's get started. Luckily for us, this session is a little bit shorter. Okay. So, Dawn's not really sure what to do with this book. They know they're going to turn this into a book. And they're saying they would like to make the title The Law of One by Ra. Is this agreeable? The title is acceptable. The authorship by Ra is our distortion of understanding incomplete. We are messengers. So Ra doesn't want to be put as the author because they're just sending the message. Who can we state wrote the book? Can only suggest the use of Ra as a humble messenger of the Law of One. All right. What's the first known thing in creation? Creation is infinity. The infinity is creation. Infinity. Hard to think about that, right? Because it's infinite. From this infinity, then, must have come what we experience as creation. What is the next step? Infinity became aware. Infinity became aware that it was somewhere in something. Kind of like third density awareness, self-awareness. You get to the third density by becoming self-aware. Is that what happened here, or is it just aware? Because second density is being aware. Third density is being self-aware. So maybe this is just second density. Became aware. Then what? Awareness led to the focus of infinity into infinite energy. It's most commonly called logos or love. So intelligent energy is love. Then this aware infinity, which they're now calling the creator, is the focusing. So the focusing, okay, hold on a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. The creator is the focusing of infinity as an aware, conscious principle as closely as we can understand in the language intelligent infinity. So infinity that's aware, creating love. Then what? So the next step in your space-time illusion is achieving its progression as you may see it in your illusion. The next step is an infinite reaction to the creative principle following the law of one in one of its primal distortions, freedom of will. Thus, many, many dimensions, infinite in number, are possible. So yesterday I was talking about how it hadn't mentioned different dimensions. Well, never mind, because I was thinking about parallel dimensions, but maybe the dimensions are the densities. I'm not really sure. What do you guys think? But if it's infinite, then there's no limit to the possibilities. The energy moves from the intelligent infinity first to the outpouring of a randomized creative force. This is then creating the patterns in which, in holographic style, appear as the entire creation no matter which direction or energy is explored. These patterns of energy begin then to regularize your own local rhythms, and energy fields, thus creating dimensions and universes. So there's this other theory, if you haven't heard, that the world, the Earth, the solar system, the galaxy, the universe is a holograph. And this just said that it's a holograph. Or did it start as a holograph? Let's read it again. The energy moves from the intelligent infinity first to outpouring of randomized creative force. Okay. Then creating patterns, which in holographic style appear as the entire creation, no matter which direction or energy is explored. So in quantum physics, they're starting to figure out some things about the way that matter works. And there's some real weird stuff about it. Like there's these little bits of matter, I can't remember the exact term we're using for them, but basically they exist until someone sees them or interacts with them, and then they're not there. And this is also like, and then there's also the opposite of that, where it doesn't exist until something conscious comes across it. Kind of like the philosophical debate, does a tree make noise? You know, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a noise if no one's there to hear it? It's stuff that's completely mind-boggling. So the patterns appear as the entire creation, no matter which direction or energy is explored. So if something conscious is exploring it, it appears to go on forever. But does that mean it doesn't really go on forever? Because if it's infinite, then it could go on forever. Or does it only go on forever if something conscious is exploring it? What? I can't. My brain. I broke a wheel. I don't know. Stuff don't make any sense to me. I can't get this part right now. And maybe somebody else can explain it much better than me. Do you feel like you understand this? Please help me. Please. Okay. Then can you tell me how the galaxy and the planetary system was formed? You must imagine a great leap of thought in this query, for at the last query, the physical, as you call it, universes were not yet born. So there was a pattern that appeared to go on forever, but there was no universes yet. But the possibility for the universes in local, smaller spaces was there. The rhythms and fields of energy, thus creating dimensions and universes. So it could, but it hadn't yet, is what I think they're saying. The energies moved in increasingly intelligent patterns until the individualization of various energies emanating from the creative principle of intelligent infinity became such as to be co-creators. So this is really exciting information, because this opens up a whole lot of stuff that I think will make a lot of other things make sense. And also what I have been feeling and thinking and shared in a much earlier discussion that I can't remember what number it was, about co-creators. Thus the so-called physical matter began. The concept of light is instrumental in grasping the great leap of thought, as this vibrational distortion of infinity is the building block of that which is known as matter. So light is the thing that makes matter. Light being intelligent and full of energy, oh, I love that. Light is intelligent and full of energy, thus being the first distortion of the intelligent infinity, which you call the creative principle. So light is intelligent. We already knew it was full of energy, but did we know that it was intelligent? And it's the thing that makes up all matter. The building block for everything else. Which people, religious folks, particularly of the Christian variety, will find that part very interesting, because doesn't the Bible say, let there be light? God said, let there be light, and there was light, right? Was that on the first day? I don't know. But that kind of sounds like that's what happened. There was an energy that was infinite. The infinite energy became aware. Therefore, it became intelligent. It spread itself out, creating patterns everywhere in all directions. And then it created light. And then there becomes these co-creators. So then the light becomes a co-creator, and everything after that becomes a co-creator. And the co-creator thing is really exciting to me, because I think it explains in a lot of ways all of our religions, myths, etc. over our whole human history. That if there's co-creators, that there's intelligent and energy that helps create new things in their own little spaces, their localized areas of the infinite, then that means that it's very possible that any god or relation to over the whole course of our human history has the potential to have some truth to it. Because it very well could have been that it's a co-creator, that it was a bit of the energy, the intelligent infinity, that decided it wanted to also make something. How exciting is that? Because if that's true, then that has the potential to mean that everybody ever in the whole history of human history had it right. It's in some way, shape, or form. Because it was just their experience of what was happening. And the whole avatar thing that comes up in the Hindu And I don't know if it's more Eastern religions, but I know for sure that it's in the Hindu religion. The avatar is just the body of a specific god that comes down like that. That all of that makes sense too, you know. And if you think about it, everything and every person and every god that may have come about really is just an avatar for the infinite intelligence, energy, because we're all made up of the same thing from the very beginning. And the thing I had mentioned in the previous discussion somewhere was the idea that, you know, in the Bible and possibly other religions, I don't know, it says that God created us in his likeness. And I had mentioned this before, so if you heard it, I'm repeating myself, but I think it bears repeating. I don't think that means physical appearance. It means that we are co-creators. The original, infinite, intelligent energy created us to create, because we are the creator, and we can also create. I love it. This light of love was made to have in its occurrences of being certain characteristics, among them the infinite whole paradoxically described by the straight line, as you call it. This paradox is responsible for the shape of the various physical illusion entities you call solar systems, galaxies, and planets, all revolving and tending toward the lenticular. So the light, which is also part of love, light, love, love, light, has a characteristic of a straight line. And that's what creates these illusions of the physical. All right. Moving along. Could you tell me how intelligent infinity became, shall we say, individualized? The intelligent infinity discerned a concept. The concept was discerned due to freedom of will of awareness. This concept was finity. This was the first and primal paradox of the distortion of law of one. Thus, the one intelligent infinity invested itself in an exploration of manyness. Due to the infinite possibilities of intelligent infinity, there is no ending to manyness. The exploration, thus, is free to continue infinitely in an eternal present. Wow. So the intelligent infinity, because of its awareness of its free will, decided it thought about there being a finite amount. And because it thought of that, it decided to explore manyness. So not one thing, but breaking itself into pieces so that it could explore itself from other viewpoints. And because it's infinite, there's no ending to how many things, people, beings, places, planets, etc., that it can become, because it's infinite. And the exploration is free to continue infinitely in an eternal present. We're eternally in the present. It's starting to make my brain hurt if I think about it too much, so I'm just going to leave it there. Was the galaxy that we are in created by the infinite intelligence, or was it created by a portion of the individualized infinite intelligence? The galaxy and all other things of material of which you are aware are byproducts of individualized portions of intelligent infinity. So yes, smaller portions of the infinite created the stuff that we know of. As each exploration began, it in turn found its focus and became co-creator. It's the same thing we were just talking about. Using intelligent infinity, each portion created a universe, allowing the rhythms of free choice to flow, playing with the infinite spectrum of possibilities. Each individualized portion channeled the love light into what you might call intelligent energy, thus creating the so-called natural laws of any particular universe. So this says that the pieces that broke off created their own universes, which there is this idea of a multi-universe now, that if there's, because this is so funny, because I'm sure he wasn't the first person to think of it, and now it's kind of like, I think it's becoming a more common thought, especially since Marvel's doing this multiverse thing. It's becoming part of our pop culture. But Diana the Frost actually had this idea in like the late 1990s and the early 2000s that influenced his music writing and his lyric writing. But I wonder if he wasn't inspired by the intelligent infinity of this confederation, sparked his intelligence to let him know the truth about a little bit of information. Because if you, and this was his theory, which I also agree with, and it's turning out to be true, I think, that if you look at things in the minuscule, in the minute, in the microscopic, there's always things that revolve around each other. Inside of an atom, around atoms, it's all stuff revolving around. And then if you expand outward, our Earth revolves around the sun, the moon revolves around the Earth, all this things revolving. And then our solar system revolves around the middle of a galaxy, right? Which now we figured out that there's a black hole in the middle, right? And then it would make sense that each galaxy is probably revolving around something in the middle of the universe. But what if, and this is also in the very last scene of the first Men in Black movie, when it pans out and it turns out that the galaxy, that our universe is just a marble in a bag of marbles that an alien being is playing with. It would only make sense that there's a universe, that our universe is one of many universes that's probably spiraling around something in the middle too. And who knows what's outside of that, because we can't even fathom our own universe from our human perspective. So this is Ra saying that there are multiple universes, and then because there's multiple universes, because each piece of intelligent infinity created its own universe, that each universe has its own set of natural laws. So that means that other universes could have completely different stuff going on that we can't even imagine. Which is something I've been trying to say just about our own space travel and the question that life might be in other planets, is that we can't necessarily imagine how life might exist if the place has different laws. And this is saying each solar system has its own natural laws that are an illusion, illusory natural laws. Did I read that part yet? I don't think I did. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back and read the next paragraph, because that's the part where it's talking about natural laws. Okay. Oh, yeah, it did kind of mention it here. Creating the so-called natural laws of any particular universe. Yes. I did mention that, but then I got ahead of myself. Each universe becomes a co-creator, allowing further diversity, creating further intelligent energies, and regularizing those into natural laws of the solar system. And each solar system has its own local coordinate system of illusory natural laws. It shall be understood that any portion, no matter how small, or any density or illusory pattern contains, as in a holographic picture, the one creator, which is infinity. Thus, all begins and ends in mystery. What the hell does that mean? I don't know. But I do understand the natural laws part. So each universe has a set of its own illusory natural laws that was chosen by a co-creator. And within that universe, each galaxy would have its own set of natural laws created by the co-creator. And each solar system would have its own natural laws. And I would imagine you can continue to break that down into smaller and smaller. Which it does mention any portion, no matter how small, has an illusory pattern contained within, as in a holographic picture, the creator, which is infinity. Thus, all begins and ends in mystery. You can say that again. Maybe that's what it is. This illusionary pattern, because I was just talking about patterns of revolving things. And actually, that really might make sense in a second. So let's keep reading, and I won't get ahead of myself this time because my brain is already thinking about something that's getting ready to be discussed. Primarily then, how shall we say the planetary system that we are now evolved was all created at once? Or was there first our sun created and this inaudible was created? Dawn's having a hard time, understandably. The process is from the larger to the smaller. Thus, the co-creator individualizing the galaxy created energy patterns which then focused into multitudinous focus of further conscious awareness of intelligent infinity, then the solar system. So first the universe, then the galaxy, then the solar system. Thus, the solar system of which you experience inhabitation is of its own patterns and rhythms, or so-called natural laws, which are unique to itself. However, the progression is from the galaxy's spiraling energy. See, I was just talking about that. And once again, I brought it up before it came up in the book because I had already read this and my brain hadn't been able to put it all together yet. To the solar spiraling energy, to the planetary spiraling energy, to the experiential circumstances of spiraling energy, which begin the first density of awareness of consciousness of planetary entities. I've always loved spirals. I'm always drawing spirals, and now I have just answered my own question. So one of the unique natural laws of our particular solar system is the spiraling energy. spiraling, 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 which also would fit into this rotating around things. I feel like I feel like Sarah in the labyrinth when she gets to those two doors and she has to figure out the riddle about which one of them is lying. You guys know what I'm talking about? Because they're like, one of us always lies and one of us always tells the truth. And Sarah has to try to figure out which door to pick. And she was like, and then she's like, she thinks she figured it out. And she's like, this is a piece of cake. I think that I figured it out. I must be getting smarter. That's what I feel right now. I feel like I might have just put some pieces together. It doesn't make perfect sense all the way, because a spiral, if you look at a spiral from the outside, it's going in and getting smaller. But if you went from the inside out, it would be spiraling out and getting bigger, which scientifically we think our universe is expanding, right? So maybe it is a spiraling out. We're spiraling out. Which, isn't there a Tool song about that? Yeah, there is. Spiral out. Keep going. Yes. Yes. Okay, the next part of this session is gonna, if you've been watching the spirit art sessions live or afterwards in the highlights, your mind is going to be blown as much as mine was. Ready? Could you tell me about the first density of planetary entities? Each step recapitulates intelligent infinity in its discovery of awareness. In a planetary environment, all begins in what you would call chaos. Energy undirected and random, it's infinity. Chaos, it all begins with chaos. Which, if you saw it, and if you haven't, you should go watch it now. The second spirit art that we created was the ocean picture. And the message that came through for that was that chaos is necessary. Chaos is necessary for creation. And I was even talking about how when I go to the ocean and watch the waves and stand on the beach and see the vastness of the ocean, where I can't even imagine how big across it is, that I feel like this is where we originated from. That we originated from the water and the light. And that's exactly what came across in this particular spirit art of the ocean with the sun. It was an ocean with sunlight. And the water was swirling in chaos. And the message was that chaos is necessary. And here Ra is saying that that's where it all begins, with chaotic energy that's really random. And there's no pattern to it yet. It's just chaos. First mention of some things that came across in the spirit art. Slowly, in your terms of understanding, there forms a focus of awareness. Thus the logos or love moves. Light comes to form the darkness, according to the co-creator's patterns and vibratory rhythms, so constructing a type of experience. Light comes to form the darkness. This was another spirit art, the one that we did with the chalk pastels, and it ends up looking like droplets of water, 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 ocean, water, droplets. One of the messages was, light and darkness are one and the same. We want to think of them as opposites of different things, of light being the love and darkness being the bad and shadow work and all this stuff. And the entity was saying that they're the same thing. They're the same thing. And that goes back to this law of one. Light comes to form the darkness. So 2 mentions of 2 different spirit arts so far. There's one more coming up. Just wait. This begins with the first density, which is the density of consciousness, the mineral and water life upon the planet, learning from fire and wind, the awareness of being. This is the first density. So lots of people have already figured this out, and there's been some scientific proof, especially with water, that this is true. So first density is the elements. Remember, Ra had mentioned that previously, but just in passing. There wasn't any explanation about it. First density is the elements: earth, water, fire, air. Mineral, water, fire, wind. And they all become aware because of each other. The earth is aware of the water, the wind, and the fire, and you can rotate around in all of the various ways there. So earth, water, fire, and air all have an awareness. They have an awareness. They're not necessarily self-aware, but they have an awareness. And that's been proven with the scientific experiment of water, where people, somebody was experimenting with emotions in water, talking to the water in a loving way, or yelling at it and calling it names. And when they froze it, it made different patterns based on the emotions that the person was placing towards the water. There's also been experiments about this with plants, which goes into the second density. You know, giving plants love and talking lovingly and giving positive emotions to a plant will help it grow. And if you're negative to the plant and you're being nasty to it and calling it names, it doesn't thrive. So it's an awareness of things around it. The water was aware that it was being given love. The water was aware that it was being yelled at. The plant was aware that it was being given love. The plant was aware that it wasn't. Awareness. Amazing. Does the first density then proceed to greater awareness? The spiraling energy, which is the characteristic of what you call light, moves in a straight line spiral, thus giving spirals an inevitable vector upwards to a more comprehensive beingness with no regards to intelligent infinity. Thus, first dimensional beingness strives toward the second dimension lessons of a type of awareness which includes growth rather than dissolution or random change. So first density is striving towards second density because of this spiraling of light upwards. What do you mean by growth? Picture, if you will, the difference between first vibrational mineral or water life and the lower second density beings, which begin to move about within and upon its being. This movement is the characteristic of second density, the striving toward light and growth. Striving for light and growth. What do you mean? A very simplistic example of second density growth striving toward light is that the leaf strives toward the source of light. This was another spirit art, the watercolor postcard of the jonquils. The plants, the flowers in the painting were turning towards the light. They were striving for the light. They were also they were creating the shadow. The flowers themselves were creating the shadow because they were blocking the light, but they were always turned towards the light. They're always striving for the light so that they could grow. That was another spirit art. So just in this one page, we had a message come through about the chaos is necessary for creation. That was the ocean and sun painting, drawing with markers. Then we had another spirit art come up from with another message about the dark and light, which was the droplets with the chalk pastel. And then here we are, one more. We haven't got off the page. Another spirit art talking about striving for the light. My mind is blown, you guys, because that means there's so many things that this means. It means that the entities or spirits or whoever has been coming through to help create this spirit art was trying to teach us very specific lessons that just happen to show up in this Law of One book. And that cannot be a coincidence at all. We had two times that Ra came through in medium readings. And then I start this spirit art around the same time or a little bit afterwards. I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee. Hold on a second. And then the spirits and the spirit art start giving us all this information that has to do with the Law of One, with the creation of our solar system, with the way that things work. It's crazy. It's really crazy. And the other thing that I think is very important is when we do the spirit art on Twitch together, it's a together thing. Like a spirit comes in and works through my body to create a piece of artwork. Sometimes they speak, sometimes they don't. I usually always get some sort of message or feeling or sensation of knowing about what it is that they're trying to get across. But when we talk about it, we talk about it together. We figure out the meanings of it together. So everybody that's been participating in these spirit art nights, we all figured out this stuff together by tapping into our own infinite intelligence. Because just like probably the most number one message that comes through in our reading nights is that you have to look within. You need to look within because we're all a part of the intelligent infinity. We're all a part of the one. We're all a little fraction of this original energy. We're all co-creators, and we all have the ability to look within and to know any answer that we want to know because it's all there. And I think that this proves that the spirit comes in, makes the artwork, gives us a little bit of information, and we look within to understand deeper meanings about the piece that helps us understand not just the universe, but ourselves. How amazingly beautiful. So if you have not come to one of our spirit art sessions on Twitch, you clearly need to get there and be a part of it because magic is happening. Magic is happening and spirit art nights over on the Twitch channel. All right, we're almost done with this. Are there any physical difference between first density and second density? For instance, I can see a second density plant and a first density plant side by side. I can see both of them. They're both visible, right? Correct. All the octave of your densities would be clearly visible were not the 4th or the 7th freely choosing not to be visible. So the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th densities are not visible because they choose not to be visible. But 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 3rd are all visible. Then how does the second density progress to the third? We figured this out, Dawn. We figured this out already. It's self-awareness. Self-awareness. The striving takes place through the higher density forms who are invested by third density beings with an identity to the extent that they become self-aware, thus becoming mind-body-spirit complexes and entering third density, the first density of consciousness of spirit. So by becoming self-aware, you're becoming aware of your own spirit. Second density, first density is knowing that your first density is awareness that you exist. So having a body. Right? Yes. Or having a mind, I guess. In first and second density, it's just mind and body. And then third density, you add in the spirit by self-awareness. What is the density level of our planet at this time in 1981? The sphere upon which you dwell is in third density in its beingness. It is now in a space-time continuum fourth density, thus is causing a somewhat difficult harvest. So our planet is physically in a third density, but in a space-time continuum of fourth density, which is making stuff really, really difficult. How does a third density planet become a fourth density planet? The space-time of your solar system has enabled this planetary sphere to spiral into space-time of a different vibrational configuration. This causes the planetary sphere to be able to be molded by these new distortions. So because we're in a new space-time continuum that's fourth density, we're being molded by new distortions. However, the thought forms of your people during this transition period are such that people of both individual and societies are scattered throughout the spectrum instead of becoming able to grasp the needle, shall we say, and point the compass in one direction. So we're so scattered in our thoughts, our beliefs, that we're not able to move forward as one. Thus, the entry into the vibration of love, sometimes called by your people the vibration of understanding, is not effective with the present societal complex. Thus, the harvest shall be such that many will repeat the third density cycle. The energies of your wanderers, your teachers, and your adepts at this time are all bent upon increasing the harvest. However, there are few to harvest. So, we're not, our societies and cultures are not effective to move into love and understanding. So most people are going to have to continue repeating the third density. But the wanderers, the teachers, and the adepts are trying their damnedest to get people to see what's really happening. But still, there's not going to be a lot of people to be harvested to the fourth density. How sad. Okay, here comes Tom Flattery again. Tom Flattery will be here this evening and will be helping in the evening session. Is that all right? That is correct. A lot of really wonderful, magical, amazing stuff has come up in this session, and I feel like we really needed it because the last two had a lot of really difficult, kind of somewhat traumatic things. So I'm glad that session 13 turned out to be mystical and magical and explanatory, and in a lot of ways very beautiful. So let's sum up session 13. Ra doesn't want to be called the author of the book. Talked about the creation of all things. The creation, the holograph, the idea of it being a holograph, which is very confusing and I don't understand. Light being the building block of all things. Light moving in a straight line. and then the intelligent infinity breaking itself up. Each piece created a universe, which created a galaxies, which created a solar system, using co-creators throughout. And then our particular solar system has uses an illusory natural law of spiraling energy. And then all the stuff with the spirit art came up. Chaos is necessary. Light and darkness are one. Things move from the first density to second density by striving for light and growth. Repeating that moving into a third density is becoming self-aware, which invites in the idea of spirit. Our planet's in a third density, but we're in a fourth density time continuum, and people aren't getting it. I think we're all aware of that. This is 41 years ago, and people still aren't getting it. But I think more and more people are becoming aware of something. They're being awakened to something. They're finding their own spirituality that's not necessarily directed towards a religion that's forcing you to believe things or understand things from their perspective, but people are starting to try to figure out things individually with help from others, and they're awakened, enlightened, spiritual, their own spiritual growth and practices, which is beautiful. Okay, I think that's enough for today. This one will be a little bit shorter than the last two. I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. There's tons of discussions that precede this one. If you happen to have come across this one as your first, go check out all the spirit arts. I will put the links for each one of those that were discussed in this session in the description box. So check those out and come join us on Twitch, especially if we're doing a spirit art, if you're interested, because the infinite intelligence of the universe is coming through, and our individual infinite intelligence is helping us understand these lessons, theories, thoughts about the universe and ourselves. So come join us on Twitch. I'll put that link in the description also. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.